In the last few days, Battlefield 5 has received its final content update, the summer update, and the response to it has been fairly positive. It seems like lots of players are liking the 2 new maps and all of the weapons that got added, and those players are now somewhat sad that this happens to be the final time that DICE will drop content for this game, and that comes after several updates and patches that have just made us all want to cry. But eyes and ears are now starting to turn towards bigger things as well. Battlefield 6 news, rumours and information has been popping up here and there for the last couple of months or so, and I'm now seeing fans and players confident that Battlefield 6 is going to appear at EA Play this year. So we're going to talk about that a little bit today, and what fans are doing now that Battlefield 5 is almost over. So make sure you click that subscribe button if you haven't already to stay up to date with all the latest Battlefield 6 information. So first of all, an update on EA Play itself, because that is a big part of today's video. The show this year, due to the pandemic, had already moved to an online-only live stream, and that followed in the footsteps of many other publishers and developers who either chose to go online or cancelled their public events. However, since that announcement, some really important conversations and movements have been happening in the USA and all over the world, and many companies have moved to give those conversations more space and time. EA Play has now been rescheduled and moved back to June 18th. Okay then, let's get into it. I'm just going to say, first of all, straight up, that personally, I don't think we're going to see anything at all about Battlefield 6 at EA Play this year. As much as I'd love for EA to come out and detail everything we would want to know about the next game, I just don't see it happening. With Battlefield 5 only just wrapping up content-wise, I think an announcement this close might potentially backfire for EA. The timing isn't great. Many fans of Battlefield 5 are still currently less than happy that support for the game is ending well before the journey of World War II has been completed, and that was promised back in mid-2018 when the game was announced. There would be just 14 days between the final content update for Battlefield 5 and a tease of Battlefield 6. And that to me would very much look like DICE and EA trying to just sweep things under the rug and move on without really leaving enough time for proper reflection. Secondly, there's an element in every aspect of life where absence can make the heart grow fonder, and by extension, you experience nostalgia. I'm currently going through a bit of a nostalgia trip myself at the moment, with games like Battlefield 1 and Battlefield 4. I'm playing them more regularly again, and these fond memories of the past, they're coming back to the surface. I'm not remembering all the bad times, because, well, we all like to forget those, and as humans, we like to focus on, quote-unquote, the good old days. And like I said, this happens in all walks of life, not just Battlefield games. So with that in mind, I think EA and DICE are fully aware that if they leave fans and players of Battlefield games for a period of time without any information, they might be able to create this greater sense of fondness within the community for what they used to have, and to perhaps let players build up more of a want for whatever is coming next. An announcement at EA Play in a week or so, that wouldn't leave anywhere near enough time for that kind of feeling to start manifesting itself within the community. If you look at Reddit and social media at the moment, where the hashtag #SaveBattlefield5 has started trending, you'll notice that the community is still in the phase of this breakup where they don't want the other side to leave. They've spent the best part of 2 years complaining about how bad Battlefield 5 is, and then finally, the last update, it comes up good, and we all enjoy it. And then we all want the game to keep getting support until Battlefield 6 comes out. Announcing something at EA Play, that doesn't allow for enough time for those angry feelings, those grievances that you've had with Battlefield 5. It doesn't leave enough time for those to subside. And only a greater period of time allows you to let go of those feelings and instead remember the good parts. Battlefield as a franchise is in a place where I think it can ill afford another stint of time of negative reception or controversy. And so instead of just finishing up support for the current game and leaving it 6 weeks before announcing the next, I think DICE and EA need to allow for a greater period of time to pass before they start making their first moves around Battlefield 6. And then thirdly here, moving to an online-only show with EA Play this year, I'm not sure that that's going to have the impact that EA would want when teasing one of their future games like Battlefield 6. I think the impact would be much greater at its own event when the press can be there, fans can be there, content creators can be in attendance like they usually are. I might be wrong here, I might be completely wrong, but by having all of these events online this year, and the pandemic still looming large in many places around the world, I don't know if teasing Battlefield 6 would be enough to properly excite people. I think people might think it might make them excited, but really, if EA just came out on stage and went, "Hey, Battlefield fans, Battlefield 6 is coming, here's the logo, thanks, bye," would that really excite you? Wouldn't it be so much more impactful if the reveal came later in 2020 or in early 2021 at its own dedicated reveal show, where we get to see the reveal trailer and we get a little bit of talking with developers, some assets being shown? Wouldn't that be a lot more exciting? I think it would be. We're all excited about EA Play potentially being the place that will learn more about Battlefield 6, but I just don't think the stage is big enough, or the stage is really going to get enough attention this year because of so many other things happening in the world right now. Now, to flip this around a little bit, there are still, of course, a couple of pointers that suggest EA could choose EA Play as the teaser location for Battlefield 6. Recently, the official PlayStation magazine revealed that in their next issue, they'd have more details on Battlefield 6, but why would a regional magazine have information on a game that not even EA has teased or dropped details on yet? Well, the assumption is that EA would reveal details in the near future, and then the next issue of the magazine would take those elements and talk about them in an article or something. And that might well be happening. And then to completely 180 on my point about the stage not being big enough, this could actually be one of the very few times in the next 6 to 8 months where EA is going to have a stage all to themselves to talk about whatever they want to talk about. I have no doubt EA Play will reveal details on other EA titles that might be releasing this year, like the upcoming Medal of Honor VR game and all their sports titles, but with Gamescom in Germany also not happening this year, EA might well choose now to drop as much information as they can on all of their games before the spotlight moves on to the next publisher or the next developer. With no major Battlefield game launching this year, the team might choose now as the time to remind people that their next Battlefield game is in development, and here's a brief sneak peek. It might happen. I don't think it will, but there's a chance it could. So that's Battlefield 6 at EA Play, or not at EA Play, as the case may be. And I wanted to then end this video by expanding on something that I've already mentioned and sort of give you my opinion on it. Lots of people have been asking me to talk about #SaveBattlefield5. About a month or so ago, when Battlefront 2 was also announced as having its support ended, a movement was created by the community around that game to try and keep development going for as long as possible, because fans didn't want the game to end. And now that same thing has started happening around Battlefield 5. Community members, fans, and players are signing a petition to try and keep the DICE team making content for the game because the final update has been so well received. Now, this kind of movement is great because it shows how passionate the communities around games can be and how supportive they can be when those games deliver good experiences. However, I also think it's really important with these kind of things to look at things logically. Battlefront 2 and Battlefield 5 have had their support ended because a decision has been made for DICE as a development studio to focus their efforts on the next Battlefield game, which is Battlefield 6. And at the same time, DICE LA, which is a supporting studio of DICE Stockholm, is going through a rebrand under new leadership of Vince Zampella, and the team there is now working on their own new shooter game. So the support studio for Battlefield games and their live services or their premium services is no longer there to support this one. This means that if DICE wanted to continue support of Battlefront 2 and Battlefield 5, the entire studio would be needed to split across both of those titles. With Battlefront 2 enjoying really good success in the past 18 months after what was, admittedly, a very rough start, I can see why fans are asking DICE to continue support there. But for Battlefield 5, I see greater value in the DICE team moving on from the game because of the disaster that the project has really been from start to finish. We all know the story, so I'm not going to bother repeating it, but clearly the decision now has been made to move on. They're striking a line under it, they're chalking it up as a loss, and they're going to start trying to do better with the next project, rather than continue to fight an uphill battle, not only to deliver a solid product performance-wise, which appeared to be a persistent problem for DICE on Battlefield 5, but also against a community that can snap from being ecstatic to rather hateful and toxic in a matter of seconds. Couple that with a departure of the DICE LA team, who took over content support for Battlefield 4 and Battlefield 1, so the Stockholm team could move on to the next game each time in the past, you can see exactly why Battlefield 5 support has been shut down. If development continued, the team wouldn't be able to properly kick into gear on the next title in the franchise. The support of the full team at the Stockholm office is needed to bring a AAA game like Battlefield from concept to final product, and there's really no room outside of all of that that would allow for continued content support on their other games. So as much as I admire the spirit and the passion of the Battlefield community, who clearly want to see DICE try and continue on a good streak after the final Battlefield 5 update, I think it's clear with all the evidence on offer that that's just not going to happen. And I think that the move on to newer projects is the right one to be taking here. It gives DICE another chance to show what they're actually capable of. This is the development studio who brought us Battlefield 2, Battlefield 3, Battlefield 4, and Battlefield 1. All fantastic games in their own right. Of course they had some problems, but overall, they were fantastic games. We all know that they can do better than Battlefield 5. So perhaps a new project with a sharper focus is what's needed here. Thanks very much for watching today. Leave me a rating and a comment down below. It is always appreciated. And I'll catch you all in the next one.